1 week after its first appearing as a tropical depression, emergency teams have been dispatched to determine the full extent of damage from Hurricane Joaquin and to provide much-needed relief. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley with this special ZNS News update, The Recovery. Well, Hurricane Joaquin is gone, but the islands impacted by the Category 4 hurricane are now left to pick up the pieces. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie and a team flew to Long Island on Saturday to get a first-hand look at the damage and to set in motion plans to aid in the recovery of that island. Now, South Long Island was hardest hit. Phone services are down and electricity is out in some areas, though it's being restored slowly. The road from Stella Maris to Deals is impassable. Prime Minister Christie says restoring the infrastructure will be an expensive venture for the government, but all the resources needed will be provided.
The infrastructure is going to be extraordinary in terms of costs to the central government. The devastation is not just to people's private property, houses, and where we're going to have to find the formula to render assistance, but the infrastructure has been severely damaged, and that goes into millions of dollars when you add the sum total up. And that's why the assessment is very important.
Well, the Prime Minister also addressed those rumors surrounding fatalities from Hurricane Joaquin in Long Island.
In a rumor and speculation about loss of life on Long Island. I've spoken with the Commissioner of Police who has been moving around these islands himself, and he indicated to me a few minutes ago that that rumor is not true. He said there has been one death which is not connected to the hurricane itself. We know the name of the person who died. We know where he was living on Long Island. The rumor seems to have emanated from 8 persons who moved from their residence to safer premises or a safer location. Those persons, I'm advised by the Commissioner, have been found, and therefore when you heard about 8 people dying, that is absolutely not true. The rumors have now been magnified where you talk about 30 people. That is absolutely not true, the Commissioner says.
Now, the Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for Cat Island, Rum Cay and San Salvador, Philip Brave Davis, visited 2 of 3 islands he represents on Saturday. Accompanying him on that trip was the chairman of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, Leslie Miller. Jimenita Swain was also there and gives an idea of what things look like there, and that residents in Rum Cay and San Salvador are happy that there was no loss of life during the passage of this monster storm.
Armed with supplies like water, flashlights, tarpaulin, and canned goods, the Deputy Prime Minister assessed damage in 2 islands within his constituency. Davis says the trip was more than just about bringing in relief supplies to residents, but also an opportunity to let people know someone cares. Within the tiny Rum Cay community, utility poles looking like snapped twigs were strewn across the streets, and in some instances across homes were just some of the images to be taken in. It was clear that flooding was a challenge during the passage of the storm.
You can see there's a lot of infrastructural damage to the dock here. All of the, some of the significant poles leading to the power station have all been snapped, and so it really means that restoration for electricity may take a while, and hopefully we will be able to bring in a team with the necessary equipment to restore electricity.
During the storm, a number of persons had to leave their homes fleeing rising waters from an already high spring tide. A makeshift command center is now the Rum Cay Clinic, and drawn on the challenges of finding a safe place.
Out of the church, by the time we made an attempt to go back to church to get our supplies, the water was too high, we couldn't get back. And so we came here, and that intensity lasted maybe for about 2 hours, and at that time it got really calm, and then I guess we were in the eye wall, and so we were able to go out, make a quick assessment, and tell people you have a limited amount of time to get back into the shelter. More people were calling because water had risen, so some people had 9 feet of water in their houses, and so we were saying get to the shallowest point and we will try to get to you and rescue you. So we did that, and I think our numbers rose to 36 persons.
Several residents shared how they fared in the storm.
Right across at Rumpke All-Age School, I looked through my window. I actually saw a boat flying. I've seen the trailer turned over, and I've seen a lot of stuff flying over from out of my home. I didn't come out, but it just was devastating.
My brother had to carry us from the home and straight to the shelter, and the water was like waist deep.
Chairman of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, Leslie Miller, said at least 24 utility poles will have to be replaced. Lines from the BTC cell tower dangled in the wind. Our next stop was San Salvador, where residents were seen making repairs to homes. However, the power plant sustained major damage.
This is very excessive. I mean, the whole roof, the entire roof is gone. We have some damages to the engines, but not that bad, really. They could be repaired. To repair this entire building probably cost about $250,000, I would think, to get it back to where it should be.
Officials hope, in addition to getting supplies to devastated areas, that communication and electricity supplies are also reconnected in the shortest possible time. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.
A nonpartisan approach is being promoted as the government moves to bring relief to islands stricken by the hurricane. Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis joined a team into Long Island and areas hard hit by the storm on Saturday. He noted that the priority now is country and not politics.
I'd also like the schools to do the same thing. I think it would be great if each and every school would ask every child to bring a can of some non-perishable item to the school so it can be sent to Red Cross and brought to the areas that are affected. I think it would also teach the children how important it is to act as one, and that there's no division, especially when it comes to lives and when it comes to national disaster. We must work as one. And once there's any national disaster, it's not politics. You must remember that the islands were hit by Hurricane Joaquin. Joaquin did not determine which was red and which was white. Joaquin only devastated homes generally, and we must work accordingly. We must work together as one Bahamas to bring this nation back.
While on the island, we also talked to resident Dilla Smith, who shared her concerns that government would provide fast assistance for residents.
This hurricane was a monster. Yeah. I've never experienced nothing like this before. Yeah. What I went through, I said, I don't want to go through this again. I was okay, I'm fine, because where I'm living, I'm on a hill, and I'm living in a bunker. And I was protected, but I was worried about those persons who I know was in areas like how I am situated.
Well, Long Islanders residing in New Providence gathered at Montague Beach yesterday, joining hands in prayer for family members and friends who were affected by Hurricane Joaquin. As you can imagine, it was an emotional day for all seeking answers and hoping for good news. Here's Kelsey Johnson.
A community has joined hands in hopes of building and bringing relief to a devastated island where their family members and friends reside. With limited to no phone calls going into Long Island, descendants residing in New Providence gathered at Montague Beach yesterday to orchestrate their next move.
My parents are from Mangrove Bush, Long Island, where they build the sailboats, and they took a big pound and a lot of salt water came in and damaged a lot of homes. As far as I know, my parents are all right, but they have a lot of devastation there. And I'm waiting on to hear from my parents to see how bad their property is done so we could fly up. I heard from my sister about yesterday evening.
And how did she describe the community of Mangrove Bush?
She says devastating, it's like Katrina.
The lack of communication for days has left Long Island descendant Patricia Major very worried about her 83-year-old mother and other family members in the Deadman's Key settlement. An emotional Major is grateful for the opportunity to lean on other strong individuals, but she asks the nation to keep all who were affected by the storm in their prayers.
We're hoping, because they've weathered storms before. The only thing we're not sure of is if my mom, who's 83, is alone in her house, or she's with them, or somebody's with them. But we're hopeful. We'll rally around everybody, and as soon as we can go up, we will be going up
to do what we can to support them, and if they're okay, we'll just continue working with all the others.
The Long Island Association is just one of many organizations that have put systems in place to send relief items to that island. Here's how you can donate.
You can go on the Long Islanders Association Facebook page. We've also set up a page that's called the Long Island Hurricane Relief, and we have set up a relief fund at Scotiabank where you can deposit funds. There's a U-Carrying account that has been set up through Facebook as well. All the information is on our Facebook page. We have distribution spots, the kitchen on Shirley Street, that's near the Shirley Street Theater. We also have Island Cellular, Cartwright's Garage on Max Street. Then there's Seahorse Institute on Soldier Road, as well as Odyssey and at the airport, Odyssey Airport. We are also, if people have stuff and they need collecting, we are more than willing to pick it up.
Interested persons can also take donated items to the island link at Pottersky Dock. The boat will be taking freight up until sailing time on Tuesday for Long Island. Kelsey Johnson, ZNS Network News.
Well, Acklands is one of the islands that has taken a severe beating from Hurricane Joaquin, as did other islands in the Mical constituency. Those islands, too, remain without electricity and phone service. Member of Parliament for Mayaguana, Acklands, Crooked Island, and Long Key, the Honorable V. Alfred Gray, says he's eager to know the status of those constituents, and he's hopeful about getting on the ground in those islands.
I spoke with the administrator, and I spoke to 2 private citizens who had access to satellite phones. And the airports in both Crooked Island and Acklands were underwater when they spoke to me. And I'm advised by Aviation Department that they're still underwater, and they will be so until at least Monday. I've also spoken to the administrators who confirm that several homes were damaged in the areas to which he had had access up to that point. Some 7 or 8 homes were completely destroyed. And so if I took that to mean what the island's position is like, I would expect that there are many homes that were destroyed in the hurricane, on the wake of the hurricane, in both Crooked Island and Acklands. The immediate need for me, and I speak for the people, will be to get in there, assess the damage, and to provide food and water. Acklands and Crooked Island have already experienced perhaps the most difficult lives between them in our country. Any devastation make lives very difficult for them.
Well, since that interview was conducted, Minister Gray has left on a flight en route to Acklands Island. We expect to hear more details after he's touched down there. Ragged Island is also recovering from the storm, and already residents are returning to normalcy somewhat. Our Vaughn Albury is still on the island.
Telephone and internet services are expected to be restored in Ragged Island later today. Service has been out since 6 a.m. on Friday. Electricity was restored at 5 p.m. Saturday by a 4-member team of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. 3 members of that team from Exuma, Carlton Taylor and cousins Paul and Tavari Armbruster, left Uncontaminated at 11 a.m. this morning to conduct assessments in Crooked Island, Mayaguana, and in Agua. And the mailboat, the Captain C, is set to sail this afternoon from the Exuma Keys and in Nassau. Reporting from Ragged Island, I am Vaughn Albury, ZNS Network News.
Now we want to see those pictures, all of those images that you've been collecting, whether from relatives and friends on the islands or those that are being sent to you, however they may be electronically. These are some of the images we have been getting from as far away as the Turks and Caicos Islands. Of course, those images will not only help us to be able to appreciate the extent of the damage, but will perhaps assist relief teams with getting the relief exactly where it needs to be. to send those pics to hashtag Joaquin-aftermath-ZNS, and we'll be happy to put those on the air. Member of Parliament for Exuma, Anthony Moss, says collaboration is key in this relief effort. He says although Exuma has taken a beating, they're prepared to assist other devastated islands.
I want to encourage them and to remember now that this is a country disaster which we now have to work together collectively and find resources to rectify a problem which we have here in our country. And to those families that would have sustained all of the losses, we want to ask them to be encouraged, and when we're able to find resources, we will be assisting here in Exuma, and we will also assist in other islands such as Long Island, Auckland, and the other ones that would have received more damage than us here.
Exuma Administrator Neil Campbell gave this update on recovery efforts for the island in the wake of the storm.
After the storm, we basically did a tour of the whole entire island. And after our assessment, we found out that Williamstown got hit the worst. When we speak of comparison, what we're hearing from the various family islands is very minimal. Down power lines, the water was off, electricity was off, and also there were minor losses to personal shingles and other things like that. Also going into the Williamstown area, we had two significant areas that were seriously flooded, and that hampered a lot of our efforts in order to restore the utilities and other services.
The fishing community of Spanish Wells, Eleuthera, is coming together in a meaningful way to assist the people of the southern Bahamas, starting with Long Island. One of the leaders of this generous effort, Robert Roberts, talked to our Julian Gibson.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to just say our hearts and prayers go out to the communities that have been affected. We've been through this before, although it doesn't seem to be as devastating, but we truly do send our prayers to them. We have several committees going on right now. The entire island is involved. We've got the Care Center, the local churches, the Fishermen's Fest Committee, in conjunction with the One Eleuthera Foundation and the Rotary Club. We have all pooled our resources together so that we can assist those persons in need. The fishing community and fleet is currently getting 2 boats ready. One should leave Tuesday morning, heading mainly to the Long Island area, and then we'll have a second boat leave that's going to San Sal and Rum Cay, sorry.
Robert, when you hear about the devastation in the islands in the Deep South, the fishing community, I understand, in Salt Point, Long Island, just like a fishing community in Spanish Wells, I understand they suffered a big loss too.
That is our understanding. The fishing community down there is a tight-knit one, the same as we are. We understand that their fleet, majority of their fleet, is now on the land. I've seen aerial pictures. I haven't talked to anybody directly today, but it doesn't look good, that's for sure, and we want to help them do whatever we can to get them back to some normalcy. and living the way you're supposed to live.
You guys know better than anybody else to get those guys back on their feet again. When you talk about smack fishing boats, I guess you're looking at a lot of money?
Yeah, it is a lot of money. A lot of money. Those boats need to be probably repaired, all the running gear, the propellers, you name it. It's going to take some time to get them back. They were having a fairly good season comparatively to last year, but that's kind of gone out the window now. So yeah, they're going to need a lot of help, and we have foundations and things set up here that persons can donate money to. That will eventually funnel through and assist the fishermen and those persons in that area.
And what I'm hearing from a lot of the residents of Spanish Wells, this is not going to be a one-time thing. You guys plan to deliver as best as you could deliver to those people in the Deep South.
Yeah, this is what we're doing right now. First and foremost is a first responder deal to get in as quickly as we can. We know there's the agencies out there such as MEMA that has a big plan and a big scale, but we just want to get in as quickly as we can and assist them. And this is only the first phase. We already have tens of thousands of dollars that's been pledged that will be going back to those islands in the coming weeks and more than likely the coming months. It's now a duty-free zone, so there's going to be, from the pictures we've seen, it's going to be a lot of rebuilding, all the roofs. I mean, some homes don't even have a roof. So, yeah, this is going to be a long process, and we're in it for the long haul.
The Department of Social Services is also playing a role in the relief effort for those residents hit hardest by Joaquin. Social Services Minister, the Honorable Melanie Griffin, says the department already has someone stationed on the island.
Whatever immediate needs there are with the families, whether it's food assistance or whatever, we'll be able to assist with those needs immediately. And then, of course, the assessments of damages to homes and any psychological damages that would, in terms of counseling that is required, all of that we will be able to begin work on immediately tomorrow.
The power is back on in some pockets of the central and southeast Bahamas. Parts of those communities were reconnected overnight. General Manager of BEC, Kevin Baisden, says teams are working with haste to restore services elsewhere.
Can't say a lot of the infrastructure is still intact, but out of necessity we would have to change a number of poles as well as repair the power lines. You would have heard that the north and south are physically separated because of the water. And that presents an additional challenge, not only from communications via phones, but also in terms of staff on one side being able to talk to the other side on an ongoing basis. So we are continuing with our assessments. Our staff on the ground has already begun the isolation in terms of the north side. The overall idea will be to get on as much customers as we can, as quickly as we can, by isolating the faulty circuits, getting the priority circuits on, and that would be our approach.
BTC is reporting extensive damage to its infrastructure in hurricane-impacted islands. For the second day now, communications into those islands were disrupted. CEO of BTC, Leon Williams, traveled with the assessment team on Saturday and explained that the company's equipment was badly damaged.
However, is that in Long Island, some of the other islands, staff can't get to the other settlements because of the water. So they can only tell you what is damaged really within their settlements. That's the challenge we have in Long Island and in Crooked Island. So we've got the sat phones, reports coming in, but stations, for example, the person in Auckland or in Crooked Island is on a hill and he can't get down off the hill, and so he's been locked down there for 2-3 days now.
We saw antennas and towers being severely affected by the hurricane. We are mobilizing people from also the neighboring countries, including wireless from Jamaica and Panama, ready to fly into the Bahamas to support in the restoration. The first team of technical engineers with spare parts and as well with tools is going to fly out tomorrow in charters down to Long Island. There's going to be a team coming from Miami, and there's going to be a team coming from Nassau as well coming down. The good news is that our submarine network, BDSNI, is holding firm, so we are connected, and communications are going through these alternative means, so the Bahamas is connected to the rest of the world.
The public is advised that normal operations and classes will resume at the Northern Bahamas, Grosvenor Close and Oaksfield campuses of the College of the Bahamas and at the Harry Seymour Library and Information Center, as well as the Chapter 1 bookstore on Monday. Family Island students are asked to contact the Campus Life Department at 302-4525 if they receive information that family members are in need of assistance in the aftermath of Hurricane Joaquin. Again, those Family Island students can contact the college at 302-4525. In the aftermath of Hurricane Joaquin, we hope that you will continue to send us your pics, and you can send them with the hashtag Joaquin Aftermath ZNS.